2 years into our marriage, my wife had an affair with her so-called godbrother. Su Yinzhou, the college student my mother-in-law Qin Wanrong had sponsored a year ago, had a handsome face, sharp brows, star-like eyes, lips as red as pomegranate seeds, and perfect white teeth. But what truly set him apart was his silver tongue. With just a few words, he could have the entire Gu family laughing and fawning over him. I still remember the first time we met him at a family dinner. He won everyone over instantly. He brought premium Longjing tea for my father-in-law, gave my mother-in-law a shoulder massage, and even remembered the exact brand of preserved plums my sister-in-law loved. Meanwhile, my carefully chosen gifts, Wulianya liquor and bird's nest, came off as tacky and forced. Look at Yinzhou, my mother-in-law beamed, patting his hand with a twinkle in her eye. So young yet so thoughtful. Unlike certain people, of course I knew who she meant. I'm not eloquent, but I'm not an idiot. Eventually, Su Yinzhou was brought into the Gu family as an honorary son. He came and went from their home like he owned the place. At every gathering, the same praise echoed. Yinzhou's doing great. Just graduated and already working for Qingqing's company, her right-hand man. Look how sharp he looks in that suit. Unlike some people who always look sloppy. If only Qingqiang had married someone like Yinzhou instead. Each remark was like a dull knife, slowly carving away my dignity. At first, Gu Qingqiang would speak up for me, but under the overwhelming influence of Qin Wanrong, she softened. Over time, even she joined in the chorus of praise. Her attitude toward me changed completely. The cruelest blow came on my birthday, which was also our wedding anniversary. I saw my wife, dressed in a Chanel dress I'd given her, holding Su Yinzhou's arm as they stepped into a hotel elevator together. The lights at Gu family dinners were always too bright. Qin Ling sat at the far end of the long dining table, the glare from the crystal chandelier bouncing off the silverware and stabbing at his eyes. He had sat in this same seat for so long it felt welded to him. Yinzhou, try this abalone, said Qin Wanrong in her overly sweet voice. She used the serving chopsticks to place the largest piece onto Su Yinzhou's plate. Her bright red nail polish gleamed like blood in the light. She had a curvaceous figure that didn't quite match her age and a beautiful face. She'd had Qingqing out of wedlock at 18. Su Yinzhou was dressed in a tailored blue suit that made his fair complexion even more striking. He leaned slightly forward with that polite, charming smile I could never imitate. Thank you, godmother. You're always so good to me. Of course I am, she replied with a smile that deepened the crow's feet around her eyes. You're the apple of my eye. Unlike certain people who are all talk and no results. Certain people again. Qin Ling looked down at his own plate. A cold, tiny abalone sat there, leftovers from the kitchen, meant to be tossed out after a taste test. And now it was his dinner. He remembered his first visit to the Gu family. He brought premium liquor and bloodbird's nest, only for his mother-in-law to stuff them in the storage closet with a scowl. Too tacky, she had said. Brother-in-law, why aren't you eating? Su Yinzhou asked, turning toward him with a concerned look that barely masked his condescension. Don't like seafood? The table fell silent. All eyes were on Qin Ling. He met Su Yinzhou's gaze. On the surface, it looked kind, but to him, it was pure provocation. I'm allergic to seafood, Qin Ling replied calmly. The table froze for a second. Father-in-law, Gu Zhigua frowned. Since when? Didn't you eat crab at last month's dinner? Qin Ling looked at Gu Qingqiang, seated beside Su Yinzhou. She wore a deep red door dress. Last week's gift from Su Yinzhou. Her fingers idly toyed with his cufflinks. When she heard his response, she frowned. Qin Ling, don't be childish. Childish? He remembered rushing to the ER last month in the middle of the night because Qin Wanrong had forced lobster on him. Qingqiang had been partying at a friend's birthday, and when he called her, she snapped. It's just an allergy. You won't die. Call a cab yourself. Maybe my body changed recently, he muttered, watching her turn back to Su Yinzhou, whispering into his ear, her lips curling in a smile sharp as a blade. Suddenly, his sister-in-law, Gu Qingqing, giggled. Sis, doesn't Yinzhou's necklace look perfect with yours? The table filled with suggestive laughter. Qin Ling now noticed it. The necklace around Su Yinzhou's neck matched Gu Qingqing's. Same brand, same design. Last month, she'd said it was a birthday gift I bought for myself. Some people just don't get these things, Qin Wanrong said pointedly, glancing at Qin Ling. They only know how to buy discount junk. He remembered last year's birthday gift. A Chanel dress he had scrimped for months to afford. She hadn't even tried it on. Just tossed it to the back of her closet. Too last season. Maybe next year. Qingqiang, Su Yinzhou suddenly said, his voice like honey. President Wang from Xingyao Group invited you to join us tomorrow. Remember? Her eyes lit up. All right, I was going to... She paused, glanced at Qin Ling. Right, tomorrow. Our wedding anniversary. Also my birthday. He finished for her, watching a flicker of panic flash across her face. But go ahead. Work's important. Su Yinzhou smiled smugly. Brother-in-laws, so understanding. What good is being understanding? Sneered Qin Wanrong. A real man needs to be capable. Yinzhou's only been with the company a year and already closed 3 major deals. Some people just write a few lines of code and think they've done something great. Not to mention zero tolerance. Gu Qin chimed in sarcastically. Qin Ling gripped his steak knife tightly. Just last month, he had developed a next-gen firewall. Excited, he went to tell Qin Sheng, but she told him the credit had to go to Su Yinzhou. He was up for promotion and needed a major achievement to silence his critics. Qin Ling refused. The result? He was yelled at by Qin Sheng, berated by Gu Zhigua for being ungrateful, and in the end, the achievement was credited to Su Yinzhou without his consent. Qin Sheng even threatened divorce if he ruined it for Yinzhou. He had loved her so deeply, so he swallowed it. I'm going to check on the soup. Qin Ling stood up, tired of Su Yinzhou's smug grin. In the kitchen, the housekeeper, Aunt Mei, was ladling soup. Seeing him, she hesitated, then sighed. Young Master Qin, don't take it to heart. He shook his head and took the bowl from her. Through the half-open kitchen door, he saw Su Yinzhou's hand resting on Qin Sheng's thigh. She only swatted at it playfully, without pulling away. When he returned, he saw his mother-in-law and wife fawning over Su Yinzhou like he was royalty. The next day, Qin Ling left work 2 hours early and booked a table at a Michelin 3-star restaurant. He wanted to spend the evening with Qin Sheng, to celebrate, but more importantly, to mend their relationship. Things had been tense lately, and he wanted to fix that. After all, they had once been madly in love. They were college sweethearts. Qin Ling had been the campus heartthrob. Handsome, brilliant, every girl's dream. Qin Sheng had chased him for 3 years before he finally said yes. After graduation, they got married. That same year, she took over the family company, and Qin Ling joined the R&D department she placed him in. In just 2 years, his work had helped Gu Group's stock soar, from a modest 300 million to over 2 billion. Now he was working on a second-gen AI program, something he'd started back in college. It was complex beyond belief, even for him. Several top scholars he had consulted had found it unsolvable. But now it was nearly finished, though still flawed. If he couldn't perfect it, the consequences could be catastrophic. Sitting in his car, he texted her. Dinner at 7 tonight. I've reserved a table at Jade Pavilion. 10 minutes passed. No reply. He sighed, started the car, and headed to the restaurant. At a red light, he opened his photo gallery and scrolled through pictures from their dating days. Qing Qing smiled back, then was radiant. Her eyes filled only with him. Now, his phone buzzed. Her message. Can't tonight. Something urgent came up at work. Might be late. Rain check. Qin Ling stared at the screen, fingers curling into a fist. How many times had he heard, work emergency by now? He had dropped by her office 2 hours ago. She wasn't there. She was lying to him. He dialed her number. It rang for a long time before she picked up. Hello. Her voice sounded rushed. Where are you? He asked, keeping his voice even. A pause. Then, I'm at the office. Things are crazy. Project's launching soon. The project Su Yinzhou proposed? Qin Ling, she snapped. Can you stop dragging Yinzhou into everything? He works hard, okay? His project is critical to the company. He clenched his jaw. Since Su Yinzhou showed up, their lives had become hell. Fine, you're busy. He hung up and slammed his fist into the steering wheel. At the office, huh? Let's see. Qin Ling didn't go home. He drove back to the company. In the parking lot, he immediately spotted her white Bentley. And next to it, Su Yinzhou's black Porsche. The one Qin Sheng had gifted him for his birthday. His heart sank. He waited in his car, eyes fixed on the building's entrance. An hour later, he saw them, walking out together. Even under the dim lights, it was obvious she had dressed up. The dress, the heels, the earrings, birthday gift from him. And now she wore them on another man's arm, smiling like he was the only one in the world. Qin Ling's chest tightened. His hand reached for the door, but froze. He drew in several deep breaths, forcing himself to stay calm. Then he raised his phone and took a photo of them walking towards Su Yinzhou's car. When Su Yinzhou opened the door for her and leaned in, as if about to kiss her, Qin Ling's fingers trembled so much he could barely hit the shutter. Qin Ling followed the black Porsche as it headed straight for the King Hotel, not far from his company. He tailed them, keeping a safe distance. Watching the pair walk hand in hand into the hotel lobby, his vision blurred. After parking his car, he rushed into the lobby, just in time to see the elevator doors close. The numbers on the display climbed steadily, finally stopping at the 16th floor. Inside the elevator, Gu Qingqing murmured, "Qin Ling?" Su Yinzhou's arm snaked naturally around Gu Qingqing's waist, and he leaned close to her lips. "Qingqing, why bring him up? Such a mood killer." "I think I saw Qin Ling," Gu Qingqing said with a frown. "How could that be? Didn't he just call you? That fool is probably still at the restaurant." Su Yinzhou chuckled, then reached behind Gu Qingqing and gave her rear a firm squeeze. Gu Qingqing winced but still looked at him dotingly. "Good boy, it's my fault. I won't mention him again." Only then did Su Yinzhou smile, planting a kiss on Gu Qingqing's face. "Sir, may I help you?" the receptionist asked politely, looking at Qin Ling who stood before her. Qin Ling took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. My wife is upstairs, room 2605. She asked me to bring something up, but I forgot the room key." The receptionist looked at him suspiciously. "Room 2605 is indeed Ms. Gu's long-term suite. Is your wife Ms. Gu Qingqing?" Qin Ling's mind went blank. A long-term suite? The implication was painfully obvious. "Sorry, I must have mistaken the room number." He turned to leave, but ended up sinking onto a sofa in the lobby and took out his phone. Gu Qingqing's phone GPS confirmed she was indeed at the King Hotel. Qin Ling opened their shared photo album. Originally created to document their life together, it had now become a tool for exposing her infidelity. The latest photo, uploaded 10 minutes ago, was a selfie Gu Qingqing had taken in front of a bathroom mirror. She was clad in sexy black lingerie, the background unmistakably a hotel bathroom. Qin Ling's hands began to tremble uncontrollably. He wanted to confront Gu Qingqing to demand an explanation, but he didn't. He took a moment to compose himself, then dialed his university roommate, Chen Dongning. "Old Chen, I need your help with something." Chen Dongning, Qin Ling's university roommate, was a world-class hacker. He had once turned down an offer from a major corporation for an annual salary of 200 million, complete with company dividends. Half an hour later, Chen Dongning appeared in the hotel lobby, his face etched with worry. "Bro, are you sure about this?" he asked. "I really don't think it's necessary. They're already in a hotel room together. What other possibility could there be?" "I have to see it with my own eyes," Qin Ling said, his voice hoarse. "Otherwise, I'll never be able to believe it." Chen Dongning sighed, walked over to the reception desk, and booked room 2606, right next to 2605. As the elevator ascended, Qin Ling felt a wave of dizziness wash over him. 2 years of marriage. Was it all ending just like this? Inside room 2606, Chen Dongning flipped open his laptop. His fingers danced across the keyboard, and within minutes, a smile spread across his face. "Got it." He shifted, revealing the laptop screen, which now displayed a live feed from room 2605. That's right, Chen Dongning had hacked into the smart home system of Su Yinzhou's room. Top-tier hackers had that kind of power. Any smart system in a room was child's play for them to crack. On the screen, Gu Qingqing and Su Yinzhou were locked in a passionate embrace by the floor-to-ceiling window. A champagne flute lay toppled, its contents staining the carpet a deep crimson. "Darling," Su Yinzhou murmured, his arm around Gu Qingqing's waist, a hint of playful provocation in his tone. "Won't your husband be furious if he finds out about us?" Gu Qingqing scoffed. "If I cared about him being angry, would I have agreed to come to this hotel with you, my love, wearing the very clothes he bought me?" She continued, "I was only with him because he was useful, because he could benefit Gu Corporation. But he's a spent force now. Why wouldn't I choose someone better you?" As she spoke, she seductively caressed Su Yinzhou's face. "Besides, marrying him was purely for my own gain. I never loved him, not for a second. It was all an act. Truth be told, without his technical genius, I'd never have gained control of the company. I'll probe a little, see if he has any more tricks up his sleeve. If not, I'll find an excuse to divorce him." Watching this, Qin Ling felt his stomach clench. He lurched into the bathroom and threw up. By the time he emerged, Chen Dongning had already switched off the feed. "I've saved a copy," Chen Dongning said, handing him a glass of water. "You'll need this." Qin Ling downed the water in one go and shot to his feet. "Don't do anything rash." Chen Dongning grabbed his arm. "What good would it do to confront them now? Whether she admits it or not, what can you actually do?" Chen Dongning's words sobered Qin Ling. He sank slowly onto the sofa. "Gu Qingqing," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "I never would have believed. How could you be so heartless?" Qin Ling's face was thunderous. Room 2605, too, had fallen strangely silent. Finally, he picked up his phone and dialed a number. A woman's voice answered. "Qin Ling?" Qin Ling forced his expression into a calm mask, even managing a smile. "Lu Qian," he said, "I need your help with something." "What is it? Just tell me." You know you can ask me anything. Ha, great. All right, I'll get straight to the point then. Today's our wedding anniversary, mine and Ching Ching's. I want to surprise her. I was hoping to invite all of you to join us. What do you think? Oh, Lu Qian sounded genuinely thrilled. Wow, Qin Ling. That's so romantic. Exactly. But don't tell Qin Sheng it's a surprise. Could you do me a huge favor and let our mutual friends, old classmates, even our teachers know? The more, the merrier. You know me, I'm not usually the romantic type, he chuckled. So I want everyone to witness this. No problem at all. Leave it to me. I know exactly what to do. Lu Qian chirped, clearly delighted to be in on the secret. Great. It's at the King Hotel. Call me when you get there. I'm going to pick up the cake first. Oh, and Lu Qian? Invite some reporters too. I've seen some nasty rumors about Qing Sheng online. This will be the perfect way to shut them down. You got it. You've thought of everything. Consider it done. I'll start making calls right now. After he hung up, Chen Doning gave Qin Ling a slow thumbs up. Qin Ling, that's cold. Ice cold. News of the Gu Corporation's CEO's affair. That's going to be explosive, don't you think? Dongning, I'm going to need your expertise for this. Don't worry, I get it. Chen Doning nodded, a grim understanding in his eyes. We'll make sure she's utterly ruined. He almost seemed to relish the thought, a hint of vicarious satisfaction in his voice. No, no, no. Qin Ling waved a dismissive hand, his expression chillingly calm. That's too simple. That would be letting her off far too easily. Oh, Chen Doning blinked. What do you have in mind then? Qin Ling rose slowly to his feet, a glacial calm settling over him. You'll see soon enough. I just need to go home and pick up our marriage certificate. 3 hours later, Lu Qian, Chen Dongning, and a few other friends, a mix of classmates and mutual acquaintances, were waiting for Qin Ling in the hotel lobby. Lu Qian had even brought her husband, Bai Chenghao, hoping he'd learn a thing or two. Soon, Qin Ling walked in, carrying an impressive cake and a large bouquet of roses. Wow, Qin Ling, Lu Qian exclaimed with a laugh. I never pegged you as the romantic type, but when you decide to be, you really go all out. I thought all you knew was research. She then glanced at her husband. Take notes, honey, got it? Bai Qinghao could only smile and nod. Qing Cheng is so lucky to have you. Another classmate chimed in. You've not only helped her career skyrocket, but you even make anniversaries this romantic. The others joined in the good-natured teasing. Wow. Qin Ling, can I live stream this? A cute girl asked excitedly. This was Li Shui, one of Qin Ling's former classmates, now an influencer with over 300,000 followers. Of course, Qin Ling replied. Let your fans witness the moment too. Li Shui's face lit up with envy. This is so romantic. I'm starting to stream right now, huh? Mr. Qin, we here today is your wedding anniversary with CEO Gu. A reporter stepped forward, microphone in hand. That's right. Here's our marriage certificate. Qin Ling held up the document for the camera. With such clear proof, the reporter had no further doubts on that front. Mr. Qin, there are rumors that CEO Gu is deeply in love with you. Is that true? Qin Ling smiled. Of course it is. My wife loves me, naturally. Then, Mr. Qin, why have you largely remained out of the public eye? The reporter pressed. Qin Ling put on a helpless expression. To be honest, that's mostly on me. I'm a STEM guy, you know, all about research. Qing Cheng and I got married right after college. She had just taken over Gu Corporation at the time and said she didn't want a big wedding, worried it might be awkward. I agreed, and I've been working at her company ever since. Oh, 2 years ago, right when CEO Gu took over the company. The reporter's eyes gleamed, sensing a story. Mr. Qin, Gu Corporation experienced rapid growth around 2 years ago, when CEO Gu took charge, largely thanks to several key patents. Could you perhaps be connected to that? The company was listed as the applicant for those patents, not me. So, I can't really comment. Qin Ling exchanged a knowing glance with Chen Dongning. Seeing it was about time, he took out the marriage certificate again and headed towards the front desk. Wait, Mr. Qin. The reporter, relentless, hurried after him. This was a huge scoop. If CEO Gu's husband was the genius behind those patents, a bit of embellishment from them and their viewership would skyrocket. It's getting a bit late, Qin Ling said. How about I answer your questions after I've given Qin Xing her surprise? The reporter finally relented. The front desk staff checked their IDs, confirmed Qin Ling and the registered guest, Gu Qinsheng, were married, and gave him a spare key card. The group tiptoed to the hotel room door. Qin Ling hung back, placing the cake on a trolley, the large bouquet still in his arms. According to plan, Chen Dongning would tap the key card to open the door, and then their friends would rush in with party poppers. Hey everyone, Li Shui whispered to her live stream, which now had over 20,000 viewers. This is my classmate, Ling. Today's his wedding anniversary, and he's about to surprise his wife. Let me tell you, he's incredible. You all know Gu Corporation, right? It's because of him that it's as big as it is today. She gushed about how devoted Ling was to Gu Qingsheng and how brilliant he was. Shun Dongning readied the key card. He glanced back at Ling, who simply smiled and nodded. All right, my lovelies, the door's about to open. Get ready to witness true love, Li Shui whispered, her face flushed with excitement. With a soft beep, the door unlocked. Lu Qian burst in first, Li Shui close behind, her phone still streaming. Yay, Qingsheng, happy and Ivor. Lu Qian's voice died in her throat. The excited grin on her face froze, and the party popper slipped from her grasp, clattering to the floor. Li Shui, right behind her, quickly tried to lower her phone. There, Gu Qingsheng sat on the edge of the bed, her clothes disheveled. Beside her, a man, Su Yinzhou, wore nothing but a bath towel around his waist. Qian, Xue, what are you? Gu Qingsheng cried out, scrambling to pull a jacket over herself. The reporter's cameras flashed, shutters clicking incessantly. Quick, this is a huge scoop. Get it? Did you get the shot? CEO of Gu Corporation caught with another man in a hotel. We have to be the first to break this story. Stop filming. Turn it off. Stop. Su Yinzhou, terrified, lunged for a camera, but Chen Dongning quickly intercepted him, blocking him from the reporters. Gu Qingsheng hid her face in her hands, then pulled the bed covers over herself. Get out. Everyone, get out now. Lu Qian, ignoring the chaos, turned and fled the room. Just then, Ling, a faint smile playing on his lips, wheeled the cake cart to the doorway. Before he could step inside, Lu Qian and two other friends burst out. Ling, maybe don't go in just yet, Lu Qian stammered, her face pale, forcing a strained smile. Huh? What's wrong? Isn't Qingxing in there? That's impossible. I saw her go in myself. Look, Lingzi, something's come up, another friend said, putting a hand on Ling's shoulder. Why don't we step outside for a bit? Okay. What is it? What happened to Qingsheng? Ling's voice rose with feigned anxiety. He pushed past them and barged into the room, as if terrified something terrible had befallen her. Ling, Lu Qian cried out, but he didn't seem to hear her. Ling burst into the room. All eyes turned to him. Cameras flashed, recording every second. His expression froze, a look of numb disbelief on his face as he stammered. What's going on? The bouquet of roses slipped from his grasp and scattered on the floor. Turn them off. Stop filming. What kind of reporters are you? I'll kill you all. Su Yinzhou roared, his eyes bloodshot with fury, but Chen Dongning held him fast, letting him shout his threats at the cameras. Seeing Gu Qingsheng hidden under the covers, Ling sneered inwardly. Lu Qian and her husband rushed to his side. Ling, there might be a misunderstanding. Just wait a second. The facts are staring us in the face. What misunderstanding could there possibly be? Ling roared, his eyes red, his voice raw with pain. No, Ling. Lu Qian actually knew, deep down, but she didn't want Ling to do anything rash. His next words, however, stunned her. I know him. That's Su Yinzhou, Qingqing's godbrother. With that, Ling rushed to Gu Qingqing's side, pulling her into an embrace. Qingcheng, he said, his voice gentle, did he force you? Tell me. It's okay, I won't blame you. The reporters are here. I'll make sure he goes to jail for this. Gu Qingqing's face was ashen. She couldn't utter a word, utterly lost. President Gu, were you forced? President Gu, was this against your will, or? Gu Qingcheng stammered, too frightened to form a coherent sentence. Go on, Ling thought with an inward smirk. Let's hear you talk your way out of this one. But before Gu Qingcheng could speak, Su Yinzhou cried out, Sister Gu and I are truly in love. You don't need to ask her. It was consensual. At his words, all the microphones swarmed towards Su Yinzhou. Sir, what did you just say? But President Gu is married. Is President Gu having an affair? Sir, are you the other man? The reporters pressed relentlessly. Terrified, Gu Qingqing blurted out, No, it's not like that. I have nothing to do with him. Ling immediately pressed. So he did force you. Qingqing? Tell them. Qingqing. Say it. He shook her gently. It wasn't. I didn't. Gu Qingqing stammered, words failing her. Qingqing, just say he forced you. What are you doing? Lu Qian exclaimed, pointing at Gu Qingqing, her voice laced with anger. Ling's wonderful surprise is ruined because of this. How could you do this to him? Dongning, call the police. Qin Ling snarled, his teeth clenched. Chun Dongning, ever prepared, immediately made the call. Qin Ling, you spineless fool. Su Yinzhou yelled. She and I are in love. What good will calling the police do? She won't listen to a loser like you. You shut your mouth. Who do you think you are? You have no right to speak here. Lu Qin shot back, her eyes blazing as she glared at Su Yinzhou. Soon, 2 police officers arrived. Seeing them, Qin Ling pressed Gu Qingcheng again. Qingcheng, tell them. Did this bastard force you? Ma'am, we're here now, one of the officers said, his expression serious. You don't need to be afraid. Just tell us the truth. Gu Qingcheng bit her lip, her gaze fixed on Qin Ling with cold fury. She wasn't an idiot. After a moment of frantic thought, it dawned on her. This was Qin Ling's trap. A blatant, undeniable setup. No matter what she said, the outcome would be disastrous. She looked from Su Yinzhou to Qin Ling. Finally, with a deep breath, she closed her eyes and uttered the words, I was forced. As she said it, her eyes snapped open, glaring daggers at Qin Ling. He, with his back to the cameras, allowed a small, triumphant smirk to play on his lips. Su Yinzhou was dumbfounded. Sister Qingcheng, what are you saying? You know it was consensual. You. Qin Ling immediately whirled around, feigning outrage. You bastard. She's your godsister. How could you do such a thing? He lunged forward as if to attack, but Chun Dongning held him back. Let me go. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. Qin Ling thrashed, his eyes red. But Chun Dongning, knowing Qin Ling, held him firmly. Qin Ling, calm down. He'll face the consequences. As the police led him away, Su Yinzhou kept shouting. It was consensual, Sister Qingcheng. Why would you say that? Tell them. Explain that I didn't force you. Say something. You bastard. You fucking scumbag. My godmother will never forgive you. She'll never let you get away with this. Once Su Yinzhou was gone, Qin Ling gently embraced Gu Qingcheng, murmuring, It's all right now, it's over. That bastard. I'll make sure he rots in prison. Lu Qian, her face a mask of fury, chimed in, Qingcheng, you can't let that scoundrel get away with this. Then, turning to Qin Ling, she began, Qin Ling, about this, don't you too? She sighed. No matter what. Never mind. You two should talk. We'll get going. She waved a hand and ushered the others out. After everyone had left, Gu Qingcheng let out a cold laugh. She dressed herself without any modesty, then fixed an icy stare on Qin Ling, who was now seated. I've known you for so long. I never thought you could be this ruthless. Qin Ling merely shrugged, a faint, unbothered smile on his face. Gu Corporation wouldn't be where it is today without me. How much of its success is due to my efforts? Search your conscience. Do you really think you've treated me fairly? I never asked for your help. You did it all to show off, to make yourself look good. You're just pathetic. You're right. I was pathetic. Qin Ling chuckled softly, a ripple of self-mockery in his eyes. Looking back, I can't believe I was so blind, so bewitched, to actually accept your confession all those years ago. Gu Qingcheng scoffed, her fingernails digging into her palms. Don't think you've won. With the Gu family's influence, Yinzhou will be out in no time. Well, congratulations then, Qin Ling said with a smirk. Qin Ling, you have no power, no connections. Besides tinkering with a few useful programs, what else can you do? Without Gu Corporation propping you up, you're nothing but a loser, understand? Gu Qingcheng stalked over to him, her voice dripping with venom. People need to know their place. Forget just cheating. Even if I did it right in front of your face, you just have to swallow it. With that, Gu Qingcheng snatched up her phone and stormed out of the room. Qin Ling watched her retreating figure, a cold smile playing on his lips. I made you, Gu Qingcheng, and I can just as easily break you. Oh, Gu Qingcheng, he mused. If you didn't love me anymore, you could have just said so. We could have parted ways amicably, and I wouldn't have said a word. But since you're so very confident, well then, I'm quite looking forward to what happens next. The online storm should be brewing any minute now. That night, the internet absolutely exploded. Netizens in uproar. Gu Corp CEO forced by sworn brother on anniversary night. Gu Corp CEO caught. Suspected affair rocks business world. Anniversary nightmare. Husband catches Gu Corp CEO with another man in hotel. Shock expose. Gu Corp's tech empire built by her husband. GU Corp scandal. Genius husband used, abused, and discarded. In short, headlines, both real and fabricated, spawned like crazy. They quickly blazed across the entire web. Around 1 in the morning, Qin Ling and Chun Dongning were at a barbecue joint, eating skewers. Man, how long has it been since we last grabbed skewers together? Chun Dongning said with a laugh, taking a big swig of beer. Ling sighed, about 2 years, I guess. Chun Dongning teased. I'd ask you out, but you'd never come. Now you know, huh? Simps never get a happy ending. Ling gave a self-deprecating smile. Let's not talk about it. Chun Dongning took a bite of his skewer. So, what's your plan now? Ling suddenly asked. Old Chun, what do you think Goo Corporation relied on to get to where it is today? Chun Dongning pursed his lips and said casually, those 4 systems you developed, of course. Otherwise, what future could Goo Corp possibly have with those 2 games of theirs that have 0 technical substance? But honestly, those 4 systems of yours are truly impressive. Even I would have a tough time cracking them. I guarantee you. But I still have to call you out. You turned a small fry company worth a few $100 million into a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And you didn't even ask for any shares? You just slaved away for her like that. Chun Dongning frowned, his expression a mix of frustration and disappointment. Ling looked a bit helpless. Back then, Gu Qingchang did offer me shares. But before I could say anything, she immediately added, since we're family, I'll hold on to them for you. I didn't think much of it at the time. We were married, and things were good between us, so I figured it didn't matter whose name they were under. Thinking back now, it's clear she never actually intended to give them to me at all. So what's your plan now? Divorce. A divorce is definitely happening, but not right now. Ling's gaze was sharp, his tone laced with a hint of coldness, as he twirled a USB drive between his fingers. If you need your bro's help, just say the word. Or hey, if you're looking for a job, you can come to me. With your skills, if I'm making $200 million a year, you should be making at least $200 million and $1, Chun Dongning joked. In the Gu family villa living room, Qingcheng was sitting on the sofa. Wanrong paced back and forth in front of her, her face etched with anxiety. Qingcheng, how did you do this? Don't you know he's your brother? I don't care how close you 2 were, but why did you have to tell the reporters he forced you? Mom, I had no choice. If I hadn't said that, the Gu Corporation stock would have plummeted. I really had no other way. Qingcheng shook her head, her eyes red-rimmed. So what if it plummets? Our stock's more important than your brother. Even if he did force you, you should have endured it, understand? Wanrong lost her composure, yelling at Qingcheng. Hearing her mother's words, Qingcheng looked up at her in disbelief. Wanrong paused, took a deep breath, and sat down beside Qingcheng. Mommy lost her cool just now. I was just anxious. He's the only son I've acknowledged. I also. Mom, I understand. Qingcheng nodded. Then, do you have a way to get Yinzhou out? Wanrong asked, her face hopeful. I'll try my best. But Wanrong wasn't satisfied with this. She stood up abruptly. Not try your best. You must. If Yinzhou doesn't get out, you're no daughter of mine. And that Ling, you must make him pay. With that, Wanrong went upstairs. Qingcheng didn't understand why this godson was more important to her mother than her own biological daughter. Her mind was a mess right now. She just assumed her mother treated Su Yinzhou like her own flesh and blood. Early the next morning, Ling was washing up in the bathroom when he heard a knock on his room door. Ling glanced toward the door, then walked over and looked through the peephole. He saw that it was, surprisingly, Wanrong outside. Ling sneered inwardly and opened the door. When the door opened, Ling asked with a smile, Mom, what brings you here? Wanrong's expression was grim, but she forced a smile. What? Aren't you going to invite your mother-in-law in to sit down? Ling chuckled. Of course, Mom. Please come in and sit. Wanrong ignored him, pushed past him into the room, and said coldly, I know you framed Yinzhou. Spit it out. What are your terms to let him go? Ling sneered, then feigned shock. Framed him? Mom, I don't understand what you're talking about. Qingcheng herself said Su Yinzhou forced her. The online video is perfectly clear. How could I have framed him? Stop pretending. You know very well what you've done. Wanrong snapped. Mom, you're wronging me. Qingcheng was assaulted, and instead of going after the culprit, you come to me? Mom, you truly disappoint me. Ling chuckled inwardly, but maintained a look of profound grief. Wanrong hadn't expected Ling to be so difficult. She took a recording pen from her bag, tossed it on the table, and sneered. Now, are you ready to talk? Mom, don't force me. What exactly do you want me to admit? I really don't know anything. So, you refuse to let Yinzhou off, is that it? Wanrong's face darkened as she stared intently at Ling. Let him off for what? Ling feigned innocence again. Mom, I've already done more than enough. I even gave Su Yinzhou the Gu Corporation's second-generation program under your pressure. Why do you keep pushing me? What have I done wrong? Fine, very good. Let me tell you, Ling, you're nothing but a dog to our Gu family. What good is that program you created? It all belongs to the Gu Corporation, understand? Letting you give it to Yinzhou was doing you a favor. Don't think just anyone is worthy of giving things to Yinzhou. I'll ask you one last time. Will you let Yinzhou go or not? I really don't know what you're talking about. Qin Ling sneered inwardly. But to Qin Ling's surprise, Wanrong suddenly stripped off her clothes, threw herself at him, grabbed his hands, and started struggling. Help! Help me! After shouting, she added ominously to Qin Ling. You think you can play games? So can I. But Qin Ling remained unruffled. He waited, seemingly enjoying the spectacle for a good while, until there was a knock on the door. Only then did he say softly, Mother-in-law, I've installed 7 cameras in this room. There's even one in the bathroom. What? Wanrong's face turned deathly pale. She scrambled off Qin Ling, looking utterly shocked. Mom, what are you trying to do? You. How can you face father-in-law after this? Terrified, Wanrong quickly grabbed Qin Ling's arm. Don't, son-in-law. Mom just acted impulsively. No, I must tell father-in-law. I never expected you to do something like this, Mom, Qin Ling said with an air of righteous indignation. Wanrong's back was drenched in a cold sweat. Without a second thought, she dropped to her knees. Son-in-law, I was wrong. Mom was wrong. Can Mom leave now? Please, don't tell anyone, I beg you. It was so dramatic. Wanrong, who had been so arrogant moments before, was now kneeling on the floor, begging humbly. Mother-in-law, I know you don't like me, that you favor Su Yinzhou, but you didn't have to frame me like this. Qingsheng is your own daughter. Your own daughter was assaulted, and you come to question me. And even, Sai, how could you do such a thing? Wanrong gritted her teeth, but right now, she could only beg for Qin Ling's forgiveness. In the end, Qin Ling chose to forgive her, and Wanrong quickly fled in disarray. Qin Ling hadn't been bluffing about the cameras. After settling matters there, Qin Ling went into the room and copied the video onto his computer. This was another trump card. He would definitely make it public, just not yet. But on second thought, Qin Ling's mind filled with doubt. He wondered why Wanrong was so devoted to Su Yinzhou. Even a biological son might not receive such treatment. She was even willing to use herself as bait to save Su Yinzhou. What was really going on? This matter was definitely not simple. Could it really be just because he was her godson? But how was that possible? A godson more important than her own daughter? What kind of parent would do that? With this question in mind, Qin Ling dialed Chun Dongning's number. The online public outcry was escalating rapidly. Gu Qingsheng was swamped at the corporation, running around in circles. She kept hiring online trolls to suppress it, but it was like throwing a pebble into the ocean. The scandal was too sensational, and netizens were all eager for a piece of the gossip. Although Gu Qingsheng claimed on camera that she had been forced, there were plenty of sharp netizens who quickly found loopholes in her story, concluding she had been a willing participant. As for whether Qin Ling had set her up, that no longer mattered. No one cared. With the stock price continuously plummeting, the old guard on the board of directors grew restless, clamoring for Gu Qingsheng's resignation. This was the second time she'd felt Qin Ling's importance so acutely. The first had been when she wanted to take over the company. As for getting Su Yinzhou out, Gu Qingsheng had tried many methods, but all had ended in failure. Meanwhile, Qin Ling was dining in a restaurant with a young woman. The woman, a vision in a white, form-fitting, hip-hugging skirt that accentuated her voluptuous figure, wore light makeup on her exquisite face. She exuded an extraordinary aura at first glance. Chu Qianing, the legitimate daughter of the Chu family from Kyoto and chairwoman of Chu Ling Technology. She was also Qin Ling's senior from university. Just yesterday, Chu Qianing had suddenly contacted him, inviting him to dinner, and Qin Ling had agreed without a second thought. After all, they knew each other very well. Back in their university days, they often collaborated on research projects. It was only after he got married that they had lost touch. Now, Chu Qianing rested her pretty chin on her hand, gazing adoringly at Qin Ling, who was heartily tucking into his meal. Qin Ling looked up, a little embarrassed. Senior, why aren't you eating? Why are you being so formal? You used to call me Qianing. Chu Qianing gently tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a hint of displeasure on her face. Was that just because we were students? Have things really changed that much now? She pouted. How have they changed? Chu Qianing's voice rose slightly. I'm not married, and you're about to get divorced. Dongning told me everything. Qin Ling took a deep breath. Qianing, you know I'm married. So what? You're getting divorced soon, aren't you? Chu Qianing said frankly, not holding back. Qin Ling, you know I've always been in love with you. Qin Ling froze, not daring to lift his head. Chu Qianing continued, as if to herself. Do you have any idea how much pain I was in when I found out you got married? I drank so much that day, I didn't even recognize myself. Back then, I blamed myself. Why didn't I confess to you sooner? If it weren't for Gu Qingcheng sticking her nose in, the one with you should have been me. Chu Qianing gave a self-deprecating laugh. Sometimes I really envy Gu Qingcheng. She's truly no match for me in any way. But there's one thing where I can't compare to her. She has you. The man she casts aside like a worn-out shoe is the one I long for day and night. Qinling took a sip of red wine, slowly raised his head, and sighed. Qianing, you don't have to be like this. I'm not good enough for you anymore. Chu Qianing slammed her hand on the table. No, who says you're not good enough? You did nothing wrong in this. The one at fault is Gu Qingcheng. You were faithful to your love. She was the one who went off the rails. Qinling, give me a chance. Give me a chance to pursue you, please. Chu Qianing's face was pleading. Qianing, you know my current situation? It's okay. I'm not in a hurry. Not at all. A smile appeared on Chu Qianing's face. I've waited this long. What's a little more? Why bother? Qianing. Because you're worth it. Gu Corporation, President's Office. Gu Qingcheng sat on the sofa, her face etched with worry. Just moments ago, the board had once again proposed to remove Gu Qingcheng from her position as president. Fortunately, Gu Zhen had intervened, assuring the directors that the group's stock price would soon rise, thus calming the meeting. However, the board still laid down an ultimatum. Either the stock price rises, or Gu Qingcheng resigns herself, making way for someone more capable. Back in the office, Gu Zhen's face was grim. Didn't you say Qinling was past his prime? Then what's all this? Gu Zhen slammed a stack of documents on the desk, demanding furiously. Gu Qingcheng clutched her head, feeling helpless. I don't know either. I never expected things to turn out like this. Her eyes were bloodshot. Clearly, she hadn't rested well these past few days. That's right. What Gu Zhen held was the theory for the second-generation AI system developed by Qinling. I've had people look at it. This project has enormous potential, and once developed, it will send shockwaves through the entire tech industry. A sharp glint shone in Gu Zhen's eyes. Hearing this, Gu Qingcheng rushed to the desk. Dad, then let's start developing it immediately. What are we waiting for? What do you know? Although the project is highly feasible, it's also incredibly difficult. If the project originator were to participate in the research, it would be twice as effective with half the effort. Gu Qingcheng's legs felt weak, and she stumbled back a couple of steps. Dad, you mean? Qinling. Gu Zhen slowly stood up, walked to the window, and sighed. Qingcheng, we're out of time. If we can't develop this program quickly, the Gu Corporation will no longer bear the Gu name. Do you understand? Dad, what about Yinzhou then? I've contacted a few old friends. Yinzhou will be released after some time. But once he's out, have him lay low for a while. After the program is developed, these current issues will be nothing. That idiot Qinling is so in love with you. How could he just stop loving you like that? Go and beg him. I think he'll agree. Finally, Gu Qingcheng nodded. Qinling's home. He was sitting on the sofa when his phone suddenly rang. He glanced at it. It was Chun Dongning. Hello. What's up, old Chun? Qinling asked. The voice on the other end was full of excitement. Lingzi, quick, can you get a strand of Gu Qingcheng's hair? Hair? What do you need that for? Qinling asked, puzzled. Let me tell you, I've discovered a shocking secret, but I need to verify it. Can you get it or not? If you can't, I'll figure something out. Chun Dongning's voice was urgent. Just then, there was a knock on Qinling's door. I'll get back to you later. Gotta go. Hanging up, Qinling walked to the door, glanced through the peephole, then opened it. Seeing Gu Qingcheng's face, Qinling said sarcastically, Well, President Gu. What a rare honor. Gu Qingcheng's eyes were a little red. Can I come in and talk? Qinling stared at her for a few seconds, a cold, humorless smile playing on his lips as he stepped aside to let her in. Once inside, Gu Qingcheng began, Qinling, can we go back to how things were? Cut the crap. What do you want? Qinling took a sip of water, asking with a sneer. Gu Qingcheng clutched the strap of her handbag. Qinling, because of this scandal, the company's stock has plummeted. The board wants me to resign. I have no other choice. Oh, and then? We found a theory for the second-generation AI in your office. I want you to come and participate in its development. Gu Qingcheng took a step forward. Hubby, we're not divorced yet. I know what happened in the past was my fault. I was wrong. So that's what this is about. Qinling sneered inwardly. If apologies were useful, what would we need police for? You have to pay the price for your mistakes. Qinling walked to the window, his back to her. At that moment, the sky outside suddenly darkened, and in an instant, a torrential downpour began, flashes of lightning illuminating Qinling's face. Just then, Gu Qingcheng suddenly dropped to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Qinling, please help me. The company is about to go under. It's my father's life's work. I'll give you anything you want. I'm begging you. Qin Ling turned around, looked down at her, a flicker of complex emotion in his eyes. He remained silent for a very long time, then suddenly sighed and reached out to help her up. Get up. His voice was gentle. I admit, I hate you, but seeing you like this, it makes me very uncomfortable. Gu Qingchang looked up, unable to believe her ears. Hubby, you forgive me. Everyone makes mistakes. As long as you change, it's fine. Qin Ling gently wiped the tears from her face. Gu Qingchang threw herself into his arms, her tears soaking his pajamas. Thank you, hubby. I promise I won't disappoint you this time. Qin Ling gently patted her back, the corners of his mouth turning up slightly. She must think I'm such a pushover for agreeing so easily. Let her. Just you wait, Gu Qingchang. The moment that AI is developed will be the moment you regret everything. I believe you, Qingchang, he said softly, an almost imperceptible, cold smirk playing on his lips. I believe you'll get everything you deserve. Wifey, it's been a while since we had any marital relations, hasn't it? Qin Ling suddenly asked with a smile. Yes, it has. Gu Qingchang's smile froze. Then, Qin Ling didn't finish his sentence. Gu Qingchang's lips twitched slightly. Of course we can. Soon, sounds akin to a pig being slaughtered echoed from the room. The next day, after Qin Ling gave the hair to Chen Dongning, he went to the office. When he arrived, Gu Zhen was acting completely out of character, fussing over him like a concerned father. Qin Ling knew very well this was just crocodile tears. Gu Zhen was only after his program. Still, on the surface, Qin Ling had a feign being touched. For 2 whole months, Qin Ling worked on a program in his office. Not for the Gu Corporation, but for Chu Qianning's company. During these 2+ months, Qin Ling and Chu Qianning's relationship had rapidly deepened. Chu Qianning had even suggested Qin Ling join her company. But, once bitten, twice shy, Qin Ling politely declined. To his surprise, however, Chu Qianning then insisted he take 90% of the company's shares, keeping only 10% for herself. This 10%, she explained, was her salary for working for him. As for the program for the Gu Corporation, Qin Ling had finished developing that ages ago. Moreover, it was designed purely based on theory. Once the software was complete, Qin Ling found himself in a bind because he still hadn't divorced Gu Qingchang. This was also why he hadn't signed the contract with Chu Qianning yet. He planned to do so after the divorce, as he wasn't in any particular hurry. Holding a USB drive, Qin Ling went to Gu Zhen's office. The moment he stepped inside, he saw Su Yinzhou sitting on the sofa. Su Yinzhou now sported a buzz cut. Though he looked haggard, a smirk played on his lips. His hand was, at that very moment, caressing Gu Qingchang's thigh. Gu Qingchang wore a coyly bashful expression. Seeing Qin Ling, Gu Zhen's face turned stern. You're here, Qin Ling. Dad, what is the meaning of this? Qin Ling demanded, his face flushed with anger as he pointed at Su Yinzhou on the sofa. Qin Ling, meaning of this? Gu Zhen sneered. Yinzhou is my godson. Of course I'd get him out. What, are you blaming me? And another thing, don't call me Dad. I never acknowledged you as my son-in-law. So, you're planning to discard me now that I'm no longer useful? Qin Ling asked, his expression unreadable as he looked at the 3 of them. At that, Gu Qingchang rose from the sofa and walked toward Qin Ling, a cold smile on her face. Qin Ling, I believe I told you I'd make you pay. Well, how do you like this surprise? She taunted. You know, you're incredibly naive. I tricked you once and you still fell for it. I initially thought you were trying to deceive me, but I never imagined you'd genuinely work so hard for me. I must say, I'm impressed by your generosity. Well now, sis. Oh, my mistake, Qin Ling. Su Yinzhou leaned in, his tone mocking. These past 2 months must have been exhausting, huh? But exhaustion is good. Let me share some happy news. Qingchang is pregnant. 2 weeks along. I've been quite exhausted myself lately. Thwack. Drop the USB drive, sign the divorce papers, and get out. Gu Qingchang shrieked, her voice trembling as she flung the divorce agreement at Qin Ling. Qin Ling's voice quavered. Gu Qingchang, I can't believe it. You tricked me again. You had it coming. You useless oaf. Now drop the drive, sign the papers, and scram. Every moment I've spent in the same room with you these past 2 months has made me sick. Qin Ling gestured towards the 3 of them and then angrily signed his name. You'll all regret this. Remember to finalize the divorce tomorrow. Gu Qingchang called out as Qin Ling turned to leave. After Qin Ling departed, Gu Qingchang eagerly snatched up the USB drive. Yinzhou, she exclaimed, at next week's bid presentation, I'll announce you as the developer of this program. All your negative press will vanish. Sister Qingqing, you're amazing. Su Yinzhou gushed, pulling her into a hug and kissing her. Gu Zhan stood up, beaming. Yinzhou, your godmother wants you over for dinner tonight. I have some matters to attend to at the company, so I won't be joining. You two head on home. All right, Dad. Su Yinzhou stammered, nodding excitedly. Gu Zhan, thoroughly pleased with his new son-in-law, gave a dismissive wave, ready to head off to a board meeting. Yes. Off you go. A week later, at the bidding conference, Gu Qingsheng, the CEO, was on stage, speaking with passion and eloquence. Behind her, the large screen displayed a demonstration of the AI Generation 2. After the introduction, many well-known large corporations were eager to secure the project. They all recognized its prospects and understood the immense potential it held if successful. Compared to that, the gossip was insignificant to them. All right, next, let's invite the developer of this program, Su Yinzhou. As Gu Qingqing's voice faded, Su Yinzhou, dressed in a suit, slowly walked onto the stage. Good morning, Chairman. As you all know, I developed the 4 programs for the Gu Corporation. My success is entirely due to my wife's support behind the scenes. Although there were some minor incidents before, they don't affect. Su Yinzhou spoke with passion and emotion on stage. Meanwhile, Gu Qingcheng, down below, was caressing her belly, her eyes full of adoration as she watched him. Suddenly, a woman in the audience stood up. Mr. Su, we're not interested in your personal life. We just want to know about this program. Specifically, what kind of system is it? This woman voiced the question everyone present wanted to ask. They hadn't asked because they were afraid of offending Su Yinzhou. That's right, this woman was Chu Qianing, the chairwoman of Chu Technologies. How would Yinzhou know what system it was? In an instant, cold sweat trickled down his back, but he quickly said, I'm sorry, Chairwoman Chu, this involves confidential information, so I cannot answer. Gu Qingcheng also stood up, her expression unfriendly, and questioned Chu Qianing. Chairwoman Chu, are you trying to pry into our company's secrets? Chu Qianing sneered. CEO Gu, do you take everyone here for fools? Are you sure the question I asked is a secret? If Mr. Su doesn't even know this, I highly doubt whether he actually developed this program. For a moment, the crowd below erupted in a flurry of discussion. Seeing this, Gu Qingcheng quickly said, how could he not know? Of course it's CEO Gu, I was asking Mr. Su, not you. Why are you in such a hurry to answer? Chu Qianing cut in. Well then, in that case, I'll ask Mr. Su this question again. Chairwoman Chu, Gu Qingcheng's voice was cold. This isn't your personal Q&A session. If you have questions, you can ask them privately instead of taking up everyone's time. Does everyone think I'm wasting your time? Chu Qianing suddenly asked. No one in the audience said a word. Instead, a reporter, seizing a hot topic, asked, Mr. Su, please explain why you can't answer a question that even a non-professional like myself knows. Did you really develop this program? Of course I developed it. I just don't want to answer such a childish question, Su Yinzhou stammered. Gu Zhan's expression also turned cold at this point. Enough arguing. This program belongs to our Gu Corporation. If you want to cooperate with us, then be quiet. Once he said this, everyone in the crowd fell silent. That's right. No matter who developed it, it belonged to the Gu Corporation anyway. But Chu Qianing didn't sit down. Instead, she sneered, CEO Gu has quite a temper. Chairwoman Chu, what do you mean by that? Gu Zhan turned to face Chu Qianing and demanded, you'd better make yourself clear, or our Gu Corporation will blacklist Chu Technologies. I couldn't ask for more. Chu Qianing snorted coldly. Collaborating with a trash company like yours, Gu Corporation, is a disgrace to me. After speaking, Chu Qianing walked directly onto the stage without even glancing at Gu Zhan. She shot a look at Gu Qingqing below. Everyone, the Gu Corporation is nothing but a sanctimonious and incompetent hypocrite. Not only did they plagiarize my company's program, but they didn't even plagiarize it properly. Her words caused an uproar throughout the hall. You're talking nonsense. Gu Zhan abruptly stood up, pointing at Chu Qianing angrily. Chu Qianing, for slandering our Gu Corporation like this, I can sue you. Chu Qianing smiled faintly and gave Gu Zhan a reassuring look. Don't worry, CEO Gu. Even if you don't sue me, I'll sue you. Chu Qianing, on what grounds do you claim the Gu Corporation stole from Chu Technologies? Just your word. Gu Qingcheng stared sharply at Chu Qianing. A reporter quickly asked, Yes, Chairwoman Chu, please explain why you say the Gu Corporation stole from Chu Technologies? It's simple, because what the Gu Corporation presented is the unfinished prototype that my Chu Technologies was working on. The finished product is now in the hands of Chu Technologies. Upon hearing this, everyone in the audience gasped. If this were true, the Gu Corporation would lose its footing in the industry. Slander. This is slander. Gu Jin bellowed. How could our Gu Corporation do such a thing? This program was developed by us, the Gu Corporation. Chu Qianing calmly said, All right, since you claim Mr. Su developed this program, then let me ask Mr. Su, why? Is a numerical value 1325? Why does this program's 10 consecutive questions made Su Yinzhou's face flush red, unable to answer? Chu Qianing slammed her hand on the table. Everyone, 10 questions, and this so-called developer can't answer a single one. Don't you all understand yet? Those present were all industry leaders. How could they not understand something so obvious? CEO Gu, we need an explanation. An industry leader sitting in the front row asked, his face cold. Yeah, old Gu, why are you treating us like fools? Another chimed in. Gu Zhan's face was so dark it looked like water could drip from it. He found the situation difficult to handle. Qin Cheng quickly called Qin Ling and asked him for help. This was the moment Chu Qianing had been waiting for. All right, everyone. Now let's welcome the true developer of this program to the stage. As Chu Qianing's voice fell, all eyes converged on one person, Qin Ling. Seeing Qin Ling, both Gu Zhan and Gu Qincheng shot up from their seats in shock. CEO Gu, we meet again, Qin Ling said, walking onto the stage and waving at Gu Zhan with a smile. Qin Ling? What are you doing here? Beads of cold sweat appeared on Gu Zhan's forehead. He quickly gave Gu Qincheng a meaningful look. But before Gu Qincheng could go on stage, a reporter shouted, Mr. Qin, what exactly happened some time ago? Why did Su Yinzhou appear, claiming to be the developer of this program? Just as Qin Ling was about to speak, Gu Qincheng quickly interrupted. Qin Ling, can we talk about this at home? She then went on stage, trying to take Qin Ling's hand. Qin Ling took a step back. CEO Gu, what relationship do I have with you? Don't get handsy. Of course, you're my husband. Gu Qincheng blurted out, glancing around instinctively. Stop fooling around. We're already divorced, aren't we? Saying this, Qin Ling took out a divorce certificate, opened it, and held it up to the cameras. Everyone, I have no relationship with Gu Qincheng anymore. This is our divorce certificate. Gu Qincheng's face instantly turned deathly pale. However, Qin Ling paid her no mind and instead spread his arms, saying, Everyone, I will now introduce Chu Corporation's Generation 2 AI technology. Although this technology was stolen by the Gu Corporation, it's no big deal, right? After all, they couldn't even steal it properly. Qin Ling's words were like a heavy slap across the faces of the Gu Corporation members. Qin Ling, you bastard. Gu Zhan's eyes were bloodshot with rage, glaring fixedly at Qin Ling, who was passionately describing the technology on stage. He felt like killing him. He had no doubt about Qin Ling's capabilities because Qin Ling had indeed developed it. But at this moment, he was helpless. As Qin Ling finished his presentation, the audience applauded, and many expressed their desire to sign contracts with the Chu Corporation. Gu Zhan knew they couldn't stay there any longer, or they would only face further humiliation. He hadn't expected Qin Ling to have another card up his sleeve. CEO Gu, wait a moment. Qin Ling called out. Qin Ling, you win. All right. Gu Zhan turned around, gritting his teeth. CEO Gu, I have a gift I'd like to give you. I wonder what you think. Qin Ling said with a slight smile. Gu Zhan snorted, raising an eyebrow disdainfully. A gift? That's right, a gift. Let's start with an appetizer. With that, Qin Ling snapped his fingers, and a paternity test report appeared on the large screen. The two individuals tested were Gu Zhan and Su Yinzhou. Result: no biological relationship. Seeing this, Gu Zhan sneered. What kind of gift is this? Everyone knows Su Yinzhou is my godson. Since he's my godson, isn't it normal for there to be no blood relationship? Oh, is it normal? Qin Ling chuckled, then brought up another file on his device. Another paternity test appeared. This one was between Su Yinzhou and a woman named Qin Wanrong. The result clearly stated, biological relationship. When this paternity test was revealed, Gu Zhan was dumbfounded. Gu Qincheng was also stunned. CEO Gu, calm down. There's more. Keep watching. Qin Ling snapped his fingers again. Two more paternity test reports appeared on the screen. The subject in both tests was Gu Zhan, and the individuals being tested against him were the sisters, Gu Qincheng and Gu Qinyan. Below, the bright, clear words stated, no biological relationship. In other words, neither Gu Qincheng nor Gu Qinyan were Gu Zhan's biological daughters. He had raised someone else's daughters for over 20 years. Seeing this, Gu Zhan couldn't hold it together anymore. His legs gave way, and he actually coughed up a mouthful of blood, collapsing to the ground. Gu Qingsheng was also stupefied. She had no biological relationship with the man she had called dad for over 20 years. Although Gu Zhan wasn't at the very top of the industry, he was still well known. Such a huge scandal instantly ignited everyone's gossipy hearts. Everyone knew Gu Zhan had 2 daughters, but who would have known that neither was biologically his? Even Gu Zhan himself didn't know. Gu Qingsheng was about to lose her mind. She stood up, rushed towards Qin Ling, grabbed him by the collar, and yelled, "Qin Ling, where did you get this? Tell me, how do you know? Pull her away, quickly." Chu Qianing ordered her bodyguards to pull Gu Qingsheng away from Qin Ling, afraid he'd get hurt. Qin Ling chuckled, straightened his clothes, and said unhurriedly, "Xiao Gu, the taste of betrayal isn't pleasant, is it? Come, listen to this as well." After he spoke, audio began to play from the screen, but there was no video. "Wanrong, what do you plan to do next?" A man's voice spoke. Then, a saccharine female voice chimed in. "Of course, help our son get his hands on the Gu Corporation. That money-losing baggage Gu Qingsheng is already pregnant. Our goal has been achieved. If she's willing to be a mistress later, so be it. If she doesn't know what's good for her, then she can go back to being an orphan. Having her switched at the hospital back then wasn't all for this day. After raising her for over 20 years, it's time she repaid me. Gu Qingsheng, who knows whose bastard she is, truly brainless. And Gu Zhan, he's an idiot too. Qin Ling did so much for the Gu Corporation, and in the end, it all just paved the way for our son. Without the strong support of those two, I really wouldn't have managed. I heard that brainless Qin Ling got tricked again, helped Gu Corporation finish a project. Gu Zhan said this project would boost Gu Corp stock price to an unimaginable level. Honestly, I even feel a little sorry for Qin Ling. Once this matter settles down, I'll start helping our son take over the Gu Corporation. Haha, Wanrong, you're so clever, playing Gu Zhan like a fiddle. It's all because of you. If you hadn't got me pregnant back then, would I have been able to marry Gu Zhan? Qin Wanrong's voice carried a hint of coquettish shyness. All right, don't be angry. I'll love you properly in a bit. You're awful. Ha ha. After the recording finished, Gu Zhan suddenly burst into uncontrolled laughter. I never thought. Gu Zhan schemed his whole life, only to find out in the end that he was the one most cruelly schemed against. I hate this. Gu Zhan spat out another mouthful of blood and fell down stiffly. Dad, seeing this, Gu Qingsheng rushed to Gu Zhan's side. Call an ambulance. Quickly, call an ambulance. But now, everyone was shunning the Gu Corporation. Who would bother to help? Su Yinzhou had long since disappeared. In the end, it was someone from the venue staff who called an ambulance to take Gu Zhan away. As Gu Zhan was carried away, Gu Qingsheng kept looking back, her eyes filled with complex emotions. The next morning, Qin Ling was having breakfast at home with Chu Qianing when, while scrolling through videos, he saw the news that Gu Zhan had passed away last night. Qin Ling sighed, but said nothing. This must be the best illustration of what goes around comes around, he thought. He could imagine how resentful Gu Zhan must have been at the moment of his death. Chu Qianing slowly walked up behind Qin Ling and gently hugged him. It's all in the past now, honey. Qin Ling turned to look at Chu Qianing's stunning face, his eyes filled with tenderness. 2 months later, Chu Technologies. Qin Ling was in the company's R&D department, working on programs. Since the launch of their second-generation AI, Chu Technologies' market value had skyrocketed, making them a true dark horse in the industry. Moreover, Qin Ling and Chu Qianing had a clear division of labor. Qin Ling was solely responsible for R&D, holding nominal positions as vice president and head of the R&D department, while Chu Qianing handled everything else. As for the once mighty Gu Group, they had declared bankruptcy a month ago. Honey, still busy? Chu Qianing walked in through the R&D department doorway. The staff greeted her one after another. They were all aware of the relationship between their department head and their CEO, so they tactfully excused themselves when Chu Qianing entered. Don't tease, I'm almost done. Go sit and amuse yourself for a bit, wifey. Qin Ling glanced at Chu Qianing with a slight smile. Okay. Chu Qianing nodded obediently and quietly sat down to one side. About an hour later, Qin Ling finished his work and stood up. Chu Qianing also stood up, walked straight over, and hugged Qin Ling, smiling. Honey, I have some great news. Want to hear it? Oh, Qin Ling playfully pinched Chu Qianing's nose. What great news? Tell me. I just got word today. Qin Wanrong is dead. Qin Ling's eyes widened in disbelief. Dead? Yes. Her body was only discovered after it had started to decompose in her house. Her ashes still haven't been claimed. What happened? Tell me quickly. Qin Ling, looking like an eager child, grabbed Chu Qianning's shoulders. According to the investigation, she was murdered by Su Yinzhou and his father. The motive is unknown, but the two of them have already fled abroad. Speaking of which, that Qin Wanrong was quite something. While she was with the Gu family, she secretly, behind Gu Jin's back, transferred all of the Gu family's assets overseas. Poor old fox Gu Jin never found out, even at his death. So, you're saying all of the Gu family's money ended up with Su Yinzhou and his father? Chu Qianning nodded. Exactly. Gu Jin struggled his whole life, only to pave the way for others. Truly tragic. He got off easy. Gu Qingcheng, on the other hand, is saddled with over 30 million in debt because of the Gu Group's bankruptcy. I hear debt collectors are hounding her, forcing her into hiding. Qin Ling sighed. Every pitiful person has a detestable side. All right, look at the time. My tummy's rumbling. Let's go get something to eat, Chu Qianning said, linking her arm through Qin Ling's. Okay, my little glutton. Let's go. Oomph. I'll bite you. Chu Qianning feigned fierceness like a little tigress. Just as the two of them were leaving the company and heading to the parking garage, under the envious gazes of the staff, a disheveled woman suddenly knelt before Qin Ling and clung to his leg. Qin Ling, save me. Please save me. I was wrong. Save me. If you don't save me, I'll really die. Qin Ling, I'm begging you. Qin Ling frowned. Gu Qingcheng. Gu Qingcheng lifted her dirt-streaked face. The rosy complexion she once had was gone. Now, her eyes were bloodshot and bulging, and her clothes were tattered. She looked worse than a beggar. Qin Ling, please save me. I'll be your mistress. Okay? Please, Qin Ling. Gu Qingcheng wailed, tears streaming down her face. Qin Ling could see she was sincere. But what could he do? I'm sorry, Miss Gu. We don't know each other well, and my wife is here. So please leave. With that, Qin Ling took Chu Qianning's hand and started to leave. But Gu Qingcheng hadn't snuck in here with such difficulty just to give up so easily. She clung desperately to Qin Ling's leg, shouting, Hubby, it was me who wronged you. I was wrong, terribly wrong. I've already dumped Su Yinzhou. Can we start over, please? Hearing Gu Qingcheng's words, Qin Ling sneered. Gu Qingcheng, this behavior of yours only makes me detest you more. Since you insist on being undignified, then I'll help you be. Chu Qianning, taking his cue, called out loudly, Security! Security! Get over here! Why is an outsider in the company parking garage? 3 security guards quickly ran over. Seeing a beggar clinging to Qin Ling's leg, they were startled and rushed forward to pull her away. Gu Qingcheng struggled for a while, but when she couldn't break free, she laughed, her anger turning into a twisted smile. Qin Ling, do you see? Chu Qianning is no good either. Sooner or later, she'll dump you too. You won't help me, but you'll end up just like me. Wait, Chu Qianning said, holding up a hand. Then, looking at Gu Qingcheng's filthy face, she smiled sweetly. Excuse me, but Qin Ling holds 90% of the shares in Chu Technologies. I only have 10%. Strictly speaking, I work for him. With that, Chu Qianning pulled Qin Ling's arm without a backward glance and got into the car. After the car drove away, Gu Qingcheng burst into loud sobs. The next time Qin Ling saw Gu Qingcheng, he and Chu Qianning were taking their son to catch fish by the river. Gu Qingcheng was under a bridge, picking through trash. She no longer recognized Qin Ling. She couldn't speak a complete sentence, only giggling foolishly at anyone she saw and muttering, I was wrong.